Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in today. I'm going to continue with a video that I started probably almost a year ago, which was what happens when we die, what happens when we cross over. And I titled that one Part 1, and someone made me realize I never did Part 2. So I re-listened to my Part 1 yesterday, and I'm going to continue with that today. First, let me tell you where I am. I am in West Virginia visiting my sister. I am in transition right now, which is always a wonderful thing. Good, bad, right, or wrong, it is where I am. And today I sit looking out over a beautiful golf course and a very quiet, peaceful spot. So I'm very grateful for that. I left Michigan and I will be traveling back to the Seattle area next week, or be there by the end of next week at least. And then I will be in Los Angeles for about a month in August, almost 3 to 4 weeks in August. So if anybody out there wants to get together and do a group reading or do a private reading, just get a hold of me on my website or via this email, dboylemedium@gmail.com. So again, let's start on what happens when we cross over, but I feel I have to go over a few other things first. One is I ask this question often, sometimes to myself and most times to others. Why are we here on this planet at this time? And I answer myself always with to learn. Very simple 2 words, to learn. And we learn best by challenges and tough times. Sometimes good times are lessons also, how to receive good. I also want to explain the 3D world. If you're unfamiliar with the 3D world, that is the world we live in before we begin to recognize there is something more than ourselves. There is Source, there is God, there is Spirit, there is a version of us which we call our higher self. And I'm going to explain that also. So 3D world is what we sit in. Just what it says, 3D world. You get up, you go to work, you play with your kids, you take them back and forth to school. The lessons aren't there. You're not picking them up. There's a lot of denial. There's a lot of doubt. There's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of shame. As we move into 4D world, we start to open our heart more to all the tougher things that are out there. We recognize that what we are doing to ourselves is affecting others. So we start to change that. We recognize things that we say, things that we do, ways that we act to others, things that we write, things that we think are affecting not only others, but also ourselves. So we start to recognize that. But do we begin to change it? I'm not so sure. I think 5th dimensional now is when the heart really starts to open and all of these things begin to get more vibrant in your field. So you have to change. You have to begin to recognize and use your heart to explain to yourself what's going on. I like that line. Use your heart. I've always said in the past, when you're listening to speakers like myself or any other sort of thing, or when you're reading a book, to always discern in that moment. If it makes you feel good, it's good for you. If it doesn't resonate with you, you can eliminate it, but don't miss the opportunity. It may come up again, and don't shove it off as, oh, it didn't resonate before. Look at it again. It may mean it wants to come up again, and there's something to learn now. When you shift from 4D to 5D, you can't go back. You can't. Once you start recognizing that 4D exists, you're always looking for more. You may not explain it the way I'm explaining it, using the terms or the labels 4D and 5D, but you will recognize a change in yourself. It does get a little more challenging because now you're dealing with the thoughts in your head as well as the words that you speak. I'll move into 60 now and explain it a little bit, but only because I know it now. I would never explain anything or attempt to explain anything unless I've experienced it myself and then I know it. I was always the sort of medium that didn't read books. When this first started happening to me, I just went with it. I trusted that what Spirit was telling me was what they wanted me to do. So I didn't want to be swayed by a book. When I felt I was done, then I picked up the book and I recognized, great, I did all that. And that was fabulous for me. That was confirmation for me. I didn't need validation because I was validating myself and I was getting validation from Spirit World. But it was confirming that I had been doing the work already. So that was good. Yay me. So now I feel, without explaining it, have someone else explain it to me. I feel I've moved from fifth to sixth. So what's sixth dimension? Heart's open. You're moving along. You're explaining things to yourself. You're understanding more, and you're experiencing challenges in such a positive way where you start to say, yay, a challenge. What's it going to teach me? Yay, a challenging person. How am I going to learn from this person? Well, you begin to shut up more. You begin to not speak as much. You begin to acknowledge in your own physical being, whether it's your heart or your mind, how things are affecting you without judgment, without the external judgment. There's a lot going on these days with judgment, and I am a knowing person that we all are souls, and we are all sent here to learn a lesson, a message. Some of us have more than one. Some of us have more than 5. Some of us have more than 10. When we experience and are rewarded after a challenge, when we've learned that lesson, another one will crop up. Spirit sometimes will give you a little downtime where it'll be so nice and there won't be any messages and life just flows smoothly and you really know you're on the path, but then another thing comes up. It's happened to me many times. So here we are in 6D now, where thinking things, knowing things becomes the movement itself. It is not analyzing what you think and what you know. It's moving at the same time. I recently had a very interesting experience a couple of days ago on this wonderful journey that I'm on. I'm writing a book. I'm writing a couple books. But one of the books, I started naming some characters. And I named one of the characters, and it all seemed to flow in that hour. When I named her, the other ones just came to me, all in a wonderful flow. That day, I heard from a friend who I hadn't heard from in about 2 years, a very close friend. There was a reason we hadn't spoken in 2 years. But he told me he just got a puppy, and he named that puppy the exact same name that I named my character. For me, that was an indication from Spirit World to continue the conversation, that there was something to learn from this person. So I did, and I did learn something. I learned that the same way I reacted in the past didn't exist anymore. The only way I would have known that would be to experience it. I could think in my head, oh, I'm going to be so good the next time I talk to him. I'm not going to go to that route again. But how could I really know that until I experienced it? So it was a wonderful experience. I moved on from that, and I had never moved on from that situation with that much of an open heart. And I never felt as good as I felt. I jumped in the car and drove 13 hours, and every song on the radio was a wonderful song, and I sang and I raised my vibration even more. And it surprised me, and it awed me, and I was grateful, and I feel myself now. That's 6D. That's moving into the experience, hearing your signs from Spirit World. Okay, 6D as far as I've gone right now. So let's move to what happens when we cross. Horrible ways to cross. Suicide. A horrible accident. Not by your doing. Horrible ways to cross, right? Could we have avoided those ways to cross over? Only because I know that and I've heard it from Spirit World, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to use my friend. I have many examples, but I'm going to use my friend who passed away a couple of years ago, the same month that my cat passed away, my two best friends. She had many opportunities to figure out why she was being called to exit this earth sooner. And she talked about it, but her friends around her, including myself, could not get her to go there. She didn't want to. She was stuck in saying to herself, I'm going to leave this earth early. What could we do? I did see a darkness around her, and I believe there was something from the spirit world that she made a pact with to stay with her, to keep her on that pact of early passing from physical world. However, she had many opportunities to break that pact. We call them soul contracts. She had many opportunities and chose not to take those opportunities. Free will, not so sure I believe in free will. I think that when you're walking along your path, and let's say you came into this incarnation, this lifetime, with the soul contract that you were going to pass early. But your lesson was to listen to your friends, to listen to the people that wanted to help you, to listen to your husband, your mother, whatever, to move away from that contract. You gave yourself that lifetime. You said to yourself, in the in-between lifetimes, this is what I'm going to do in my next lifetime. I'm going to choose to learn this lesson. I'm going to send myself many signs, and I'm going to see if I take those signs so I don't have to pass early. You gave yourself a contract. It's your choice to take that contract till its end or choose to go a different route. You give yourself the opportunity. You set up contracts with people in this lifetime to say to you, let's say my friend said to me, which she did many times, I want your help. I need your help. I love what you're saying. But then we get to a point and she would stop. So let's say in the in-between life, her and I, our souls, set up a contract that said, she said to me, hey, Donna, in this next lifetime, you're going to come to me with this huge talent of talking to spirit, this gift of talking to spirit. And I want you to help me. And my goal is to allow you to help me. I'm going to learn to let go and let someone else help me instead of saying, no, I'm not interested. So I say, great. And I can learn a lesson of somebody rejecting me. Great, perfect contract. And that's what happened. I learned the lesson of being rejected, of being not heard, but she chose not to accept my lesson for her and passed very early. I've spoken to souls that have committed suicide, and I've spoken to their loved ones here in physical. And their loved ones here in physical were saying things to me like, oh, he or she must be so happy now. They were in such pain here on this physical plane. They must have all their worry washed away now. And now in comes the soul that committed suicide. Now this is one example. I will not confirm or deny that this is every suicide. I'm saying it's a possibility and I know it happened. So the soul that committed suicide comes in and says to this family member, please know that it's not what it was when I crossed over. I still sit here in the same pain and misery. I can't get past it. So when this person committed suicide and crossed over into non-physical, they stayed on a lower plane of existence. It is not hell. It is a lower plane of existence. I was able to communicate very freely because the vibration of this person was low, even in spirit world. So here comes this person to me and says, please tell my family. That is not what it's about. Suicide does not always take you away from the pain. Being so humbled by the soul and having empathy for the family. I had to choose my words wisely. So what we did was help this soul. This soul chose not to see the guides and helpers around him. Guardian angels are right there for them. Whatever you perceive to be a spirit, an angel, God, source, higher self, everybody is there when you cross over. You have to choose to see them, though. You make a choice in non-physical, as well as when you make choices here in physical. I don't know if I call that free will yet. I haven't figured that out, whether that's free will or choices. I don't know. So here's the soul who committed suicide now, and after we dealt with what he wanted to say, we were able to help him find the souls to bring him to the light, bring him to a higher plane of existence in spirit world. So in come my guides, in come his guides, in come his guardian angel, maybe some loved ones that came through. And he said, wow, I didn't know you were all here. And once that happened, he was able to move. Let's talk about the life review that you could choose to do when you cross over. I'm going to talk about my father. My father chose to get his huge aha moment very closely to the time that he passed. I grew up with 7 brothers and sisters, and it was pretty intense. My dad was emotionally and physically unavailable to us. So he chose to do a lot of work with me in the hospital at that time. Great. Everything he felt he wasn't showing us when we were children, I told him we felt that. Even though you thought we weren't feeling that, we felt that. So he was able to say, I didn't want you to feel those things. And I said, Dad, we did. So he crosses over now. And he comes to me, and when he's in spirit world, and he said, Donna, this was fabulous. I get to spirit world, and they say to me, do you want to do a life review? And he says, sure. So he chose to sit down in front of a movie screen and watch his entire life. He watched it, he told me, 8 times. And each time a moment came up, he'd say, wow, I now see how that affected my children, my friends, my wife, my family. I see how that affected them. I saw how my attitude, my reaction, my words affected my family. So he chose to learn his lessons by watching his life review, instead of coming back again, being incarnated again back to this physical world and doing it all over again and learning those messages along with a couple more. Because if you don't learn all your messages, your lessons in this lifetime, a couple more are tacked on in the next lifetime, if you choose that. Or you can do your lessons while you're in non-physical. You can watch your life review. My dad did that 8 times, learned a lot, and then from there chose to follow one of his guides to learn more in spirit world. So he went to the library, took out a bunch of books, and learned another skill in spirit world. My dad now helps people cross into spirit world. He's a great builder too. He was a great general contractor. He could do anything. I wish I had him with me all the time for that. So he's over there now. We'll say, my brother used to say, Dad's fixing the toilets in heaven. Well, we love that. So someone asked me, well, who sits with you while you watch this life review? I can only say that for my dad, he was by himself. He was aware enough. Because remember, he made that huge aha moment before he left. So I think he was by himself. I don't know for sure, but I think he was by himself. And he watched it. And it was coming to him as he was watching the movie. I do believe, I don't know yet, but I do believe, of course, you can always call in a guide to be sitting beside you. But again, you have to ask them. They don't just come in and say, I'm going to sit with you. From all of my knowing and dealing with souls who have crossed over, you have to ask or have someone like me present them to you and say to you, hey, they're here. And then that soul will say, oh, I never saw them before. So that's what I do a lot. I not only help the physical souls that come in front of me, but I also help the non-physical souls. They are my first priority because I only see them sometimes once during that reading. So a suicide victim may not choose, or someone who crossed by an accident or a death of not of their own doing, may not have that opportunity to sit in front of a life review if they're still angry, we'll say, at the person that killed them, maybe still angry at themselves for doing what they did. I knew a young man who, we'll say, caused his own death, but didn't do it purposely in a car accident. And his soul floated out of his body before the impact. So he didn't have to feel that pain. So him being that aware to do that, we're all on different levels, just as all of us are different souls. Our souls in non-physical are different also. So what works for one doesn't necessarily work for the other. So my goal as being a medium is really helping the soul that sits in front of me as well as the soul that's crossed over. That young man happened to come to me weeks after he died. He was a young soul, weeks after he died, and told me these things through another medium who was doing a reading for me. So that was pretty cool. And he knew he had a lot of work to do in non-physical, so he took off to go to school in non-physical. When my friend passed away, the one I spoke of earlier, when she passed away, she came in to me about a week later, sat down beside me on my bed, and with me, in physical, watched her life review 3 times, she told me. And each time she watched it, I watched her watching it going, that's interesting. Like she was finally seeing herself from the outside, see what she did and realize, wow, now I get why I didn't choose that. So she was getting it while she sat next to me in non-physical. That was cool too. And then I said, what are you going to do now? And she says, I'm going to go learn some more because I have other things to do. I'm not coming back. I'm going to go learn some more here in non-physical world. And she took off and she flew out into the ethers. I'm like, we're talking past all the planes of existence and further out. Ooh, we'll talk about that in another video. But I said, good luck. And she said, I don't need it anymore. I'm here. So every soul that crosses over is different. Whatever you chose to see here in physical may present it there in non-physical also. I'll give you another example. I did a reading for a woman and her dad immediately came through. I got his name. I got what he looked like. She's saying, yep, that's my father. But why is he coming through? I don't want to talk to him. She was angry. So I said, well, he's here. He's the first one to present. I'm not going to deny him right now, because I want to see him cross into a higher plane of existence. He's very angry. He's not looking at me. I see him, but he's not looking. He's turning away from me purposely. Why would he turn away from me? I asked the daughter. And she said, because he did not believe in mediums. His second wife was a psychic, and he judged her all the time. He made fun of her. He did not believe in mediums. So I said, that makes sense why he's not looking at me. But I kind of laughed at him and I said, but funny thing is, I see you and I hear you. And it took him, though she did not want to speak to him, I asked her if I can keep checking in with him and she said, I don't care. So months went by, years went by, even I still check up on him. He now can turn to me, it's a quick check-in with him. He can turn to me, but he still really isn't acknowledging, and there's no one with him right now. So I help him in that respect. I keep saying to him, the light is there. You have guides around you. Your guardian angel is there, and they're all waiting for you to just ask. He's choosing to stay in that stuck place. all I can do is say to him what I said. So if he's been that way for, we'll say, 2 years at least, 2 years in spirit world is a long time, a really long time. So I'm doing the best I can, but it's his choice. And I kind of go in it with a smile on my face because I'm not going to send that negative energy there. Okay. So life review, your choice. Who you want to have with you when you watch it, whether you want to stay stuck when you watch it, or whether you choose not to watch it and say, I'm going to incarnate again and learn my lessons the next time. Your choice, always your choice. People like me, mediums, will do the work for you, but we don't want to do that. We want you to either do the work now and realize you are here to learn the lessons. The lessons keep going. You keep peeling the onion, keep peeling the onion. I'll give you one more example of a woman I was reading, and I saw her grandmother in spirit world, and her grandmother was walking around and just doing a lot of this. Wow, wow. So I said to the woman, my client, your grandmother really believed in heaven, right? And she said, oh yeah, she was a very holy person. Yes, believed. I said, but however, she did not believe that people like me existed that could speak to her in heaven, or that she could speak to me, because that's what she's telling me now. Wow, I can talk to you? Who else can I talk to? And my client said, no, she did not believe in that. That wasn't even a scope of her heaven. And I said, well, just know that now she's very happy because her view of heaven just expanded. Another level, another plane of existence in spirit world. So that was cool. I wanted to give you one more example. I can't remember what it was. Oh, I do remember now. Another client that I read, I brought in for some reason his neighbor's mother. And I said, why would this woman, I think it was his mother, don't remember. Why would this woman not believe she is deserving of heaven? She's here telling me I don't deserve to be here. I don't deserve to be here. And he said, well, here's what happened. Her religion did not allow her to get medical attention. I know it's a religion, but I don't know what the name of it is. Some of you may. So her son in physical finally brought her to the hospital against his religion. And she wasn't able to get well, and she crossed over. So now in heaven, her version of heaven, she was not feeling worthy of accepting heaven. So she stood around feeling very low vibration. So we were able to help her realize everyone deserves their piece of heaven. So we had some guides come in, she accepted them, and she moved on. Great examples. Okay, so that's another version of what happens when you cross over. I hope that answered a lot of other people's questions about what happens when we cross over. There's a lot more, obviously, that happens in spirit world. Lots of fun stuff. But I'm here to help. I love doing readings. I love doing group readings. More and more comes through each time. I love bringing animals through. I love bringing your loved ones through. So if you're interested in any private readings, take a look first at my YouTube channel. It gets to know a little bit more about me and what I've done to get here. Worked very hard to get here, and until I knew that I could convey this message with confidence, clarity, and continuity, I didn't. I learned the lessons myself first, and now I teach. I love teaching also. So get a hold of me if you're going to be in LA or you want to hang out in LA. I'm going to be doing some writing. I'm going to be doing some recorded meditations that will be available to purchase online too. So if you want to get on my email list or catch me on Facebook at Donna Boyle, D Boyle Medium or Donna Boyle Medium, do that. But everything can be found on my website at dboylemedium.com. So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to go watch Star Trek today. The new movie of Star Trek is out, and I'm a Trekkie, so I'm going to get out there. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day today, and that this helped answer some questions and maybe alleviated some choices that you may have made. I do believe you walk the path, no matter what it is. When you are walking the path, really, of what you chose to do here, things flow. like my last couple of days. You'll see spirit signs, and they will be all over the place. I get so many signs from Abraham Lincoln. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. So get out there and look at your signs. Open your eyes. Spirit is waiting to talk to you. All right. Have a great day, guys, and we'll see you on my next video. I hope to hear from you. Take care. Bye.